Back then, a 94 was an A. 93 was a B.
I forgot that.
Which also fucked me when I applied to colleges because I'm applying against kids who had 90 to 100 as an A. Then what the fuck? So my GPA was lower. My, I wasn't as high in our class because we didn't weight our grades in our school. Bullshit.
It's nice to hear that the rubric at least fucked you because that was the only thing to fuck you until you were 30 something. So,
wow. Wow.
See, this is fun.
Where the fuck did that bus come from?
Welcome to a new episode of The Usual Saints. I'm Mike D, here with Jeremy this week. We don't have the other guys because Vinny is possibly dead, and Jeremy's here. Saint is flying back. I forget your name sometimes. It doesn't say head anymore, so I'm confused.
It says Jeremy. You can just read it.
Do you like my new soft tones?
I think you're going for a job on NPR at this point.
Yeah, NPR, hire me. Woo! All right, I guess I'll stop that now. Can I actually? Was I audible? Can I use that as the opening?
Okay, good. Oh yeah, it sounded fun.
I'm gonna do those.
It was a little creepy.
What do they call that? A dulcet tone or something? Nice, soft.
I don't know what that is.
All right, well, welcome to The Usual Saints. Again, I'm Mike D in my normal voice, and Jeremy's here. Saint is flying back, theoretically available for the next show. We will see.
He's on a plane, right?
I mean, I guess. I don't know. Man, I've just flew back, and boy, am I offside.
That was a good Rodney. I like that.
Rodney who?
Dangerfield?
What?
It sounded like Rodney Dangerfield.
Yes, that's what I was going for, Jeremy. I'm making a joke. For all the audience who doesn't know who Rodney Dangerfield was, he was the star of Ladybugs.
The first one was funny. Ladybugs, really? That's the one you're going with? Ladybugs?
I never seen
Not Back to School.
I've never seen it, I
know. Back to School was awesome.
Was he in Caddyshack? Yeah, he was in Caddyshack 1. Jackie Mason was in Caddyshack 2.
Yeah.
Yeah. What?
Ladybugs, that's really where you went, though?
I like Ladybug. Listen, man, I was 13 when that movie came out in 93, and I see all those girls on the soccer team. Come on, bro.
Yeah. Okay.
So we're
Poor
probably
Jonathan Brandis.
Oh, he's not dead, is he?
I'm pretty sure he killed himself.
Did he? Shit.
Years ago.
Google it. Was he on that underwater show?
Sequest? Yeah, that was him, I believe.
Oh, you're right. 2003.
Because he was in Sidekicks too with Chuck Norris.
Let's see. I got someone Googled, what did Jonathan Brandis died from?
Nice. Was it you?
No, motherfucker. You're right, man. I remember that guy. What movies was he in? He was in big movies, man.
Sidekicks, Ladybugs. He was on Sequest. Was it Casper?
And he was Neverending Story too.
Was he Casper?
I'm looking. Was he in Casper? Was he the boy in Casper?
Or he was a ghost in a movie. Maybe it wasn't Casper.
Oh wait, I got the list. I got the list right here. Pet Cemetery. Oh, he was just a voiceover. Okay. I don't see Casper, so it must not be him. I remember Neverending Story too, but he played Bastion. But I mean, I don't really remember it that well. So, man, that just sucks. But what are you gonna do? Oh, he's in a movie coming out this year.
What?
It's called Kid 90. It's a documentary.
Oh, it's the Soleil Moon Frye thing, right? It's already out, I think.
Okay.
It's her home video is back from the 90s. Yeah, well, I heard it's actually pretty good. I think it's on Netflix or Amazon, one or the other. I meant to watch it. Haven't yet.
R.I.P. Jonathan Brandis, man. I forgot that you were dead. I'm sorry.
20 years ago.
Yeah, it's 18. Thank you, Jeremy. But whatever. So tonight we will be interviewing. What is that noise? Is that you? Are you breathing hard or touching your keyboard? What are you doing? Are you masturbating?
No, not this time. Vinny's not here. No reason
to. Tonight we'll be interviewing retired. Should I say the whole thing?
Whatever.
Retired Arizona State Trooper James Casey, who wrote a book called The Traffic Stop. And
was on Live PD.
Yes, he was on Live PD. Had, I guess I would classify it as a tragic accident. Traumatic. I'm trying to think of the words because, I mean, obviously,
every cop's worst nightmare.
There you go.
Every cop's worst nightmare.
All right, so he'll be on a little later. Me and Jeremy figured, in case we can't get any of the other Saints, we will just cover some of the topics. I'm going to annoy Jeremy with the serious topics just to get him off the list.
Let's not. Let's do two things. Come on, two that I mentioned.
Killing me.
What do you want to talk about?
Listen,
those other ones will be better with more people.
Fine, you're right. Fine. We're going to talk about the two you want to talk about. And then if Saint comes back, I'm going to pop that shit in right after this because this is the opening segment. And then we're going to do some more. Maybe I can get more. Hopefully Vinny's alive. Like, seriously, I'm concerned. Vinny, where are you, man? Listen to the podcast, bro. You're not even responding to the messages, which isn't new. But where the fuck are you? I texted you.
I mean, you did imply that his mom had sex with Buzz Aldrin.
I mean, I don't think I implied it. I'm pretty sure I flat out said it. But I mean, listen, if Buzz Aldrin gave me a moon coin, I know what he wants. Okay. So I'm just saying, Buzz Aldrin, if you're out there, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, I'll take a moon coin.
Yeah. Come on and talk to us about it. Yeah.
We should reach out to him.
Yeah, sure.
Do you remember
Vinny's mom?
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. I got to look up her name. Yeah. Hey, do you remember? I feel bad when I can't remember. I'm really bad with names unless, I know people and see them on a frequent basis. And I stayed with her twice. And like I said before, she's so nice. Anyway, bringing us down. Jeremy, what topics did you want to cover in your segment along with the interview with James Casey? But if it's just the two of us this week, let's see what goes on.
Just the two of us.
We can make it if we try, just the two of us. Wait, am I going to get sued for singing that?
Maybe.
Let's see.
We get kicked off of our platforms.
Mike Myers and Mini-Me.
Anyway, so you had the woman that got charged with embezzling for the VHS tape. What the hell is that about?
So, I mean, listen, this is like one of those things that I put on in December of last year, but...
No, it was like last week I saw it.
So I think she went to renew her driver's license, I believe. And when she got there, they were like, oh, well, you have a felony warrant for such and such. And she's like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Well, yeah.
And so she looked into it more. And let's see what happens. She was charged with a felony for not returning a videotape to a place called, what was it called? Movie was the name of the place? Movie Place. Oh, fuck. Movie Place was the name of the fucking business.
All right, so I'm assuming more of a mom and pop type place.
Yeah, it was a small little place, no longer in business. But
so what the hell kind of charges did they have on her that she got a felony? How much did they say she owed them?
Well, listen, a video. And the name of the the thing that she allegedly didn't return was Sabrina the Teenage Witch. So it wasn't the one on Netflix. It was probably a copy of maybe an episode or two. I don't know that there was a movie version, but I can't
remember if there's a movie version or not.
I mean
it might have been a whole it might have been like an entire season or something, or the entire show. So the value of it might have been higher.
No, I don't think
not so. To anyone who actually watches shows, but
no. but I don't think it was an entire thing. I'm looking right here. So there was a film version, but okay. all it did was serve as the pilot for the TV series. So that's all it was. Okay. It was a lengthy pilot. It starred my girlfriend, my 1990s girlfriend, Melissa Joan Hart. Clarissa Explains It All. Shout out.
Yeah.
I had the biggest crush on her. But yeah, so Clarissa, give me a call.
Topanga all the way. I'm just saying.
Hey, Topanga's cool too. You know she's married. Oh, this is totally sidetracked. You know Topanga's married to that guy that recently got Twitter famous for tweeting about the Cinnamon Toast Crunch shrimp tails?
No.
You don't know that story?
No.
You don't know the story? Oh shit! This is a totally separate thing we're gonna have to discuss in a minute. Anyway, so let's talk about the Oklahoma lady. So Oklahoma lady goes and, like I said, felony embezzlement for never returning a VHS tape from 21 years ago. I don't know what it's talking about, but that's crazy to me because yes, in the 80s, and even when I worked at the video stores in the 90s, places would charge maybe $100 for a copy or something like that because you would make so much money from renting it out. I get that. Yeah. Back in the 80s, like if you wanted to buy a VHS, it wasn't like, in the 90s and to a point whenever VHS died in the 2000s, you could buy a copy for $20, maybe maybe less. I don't know. So, I don't know how much they charge this lady with, but felony embezzlement sounds like it's a lot. And so she says she never remembered renting the movie. She thinks that maybe someone rented it on her account and never returned it. But I mean, the place is out of business. So I don't know, but I'm pretty sure.
Damn.
Yeah,
I mean, I guess if it was maybe a mom and pop place, like Netflix has a thing, or when they were sending out DVDs, if you didn't return it after so long time, you were just charged for the freaking movie. Or Redbox, I'm sorry, not Netflix. Instead of, daily charges, eventually they just said, okay, the cost of that DVD was this. You've reached that amount. You've bought the DVD.
Yeah.
Have a good day. There was a limit to what they charged you.
Yeah.
Blockbuster, I don't know what they did, but they're fines. I know eventually they just stopped charging them according to the last Blockbuster documentary I watched. Apparently that put a hurting on the company and, hurt them pretty badly cash flow wise.
I mean, I remember when I worked at Blockbuster, like I think there is a point where, if you are beyond the cost of the videotape or the DVD, then how can you charge the late fees? I mean, I guess that would probably be a legal question because if you're paying past the point of how much get another copy would cost and the business is still charging you late fees, how is that possible? Because they should have just replaced it and they'd be making money off that other copy. But I don't know.
But I mean, if their user agreement just says, hey, you're getting charged this per day it's late without any end date to it, I guess legally they could just keep charging you.
I guess
it on your account to the point where it's a felony. But man, don't you have a phone number for her? You couldn't give her a call and say, hey, you owe us like $3,000 for this videotape. Can you just return it? Or, we don't want to call the police on you and file felony charges. What the fuck?
That's why. Sorry. That's why they need to have a credit card on file. Like you said, like it should have just got charged. It shouldn't have got to the point where it went, but whatever.
I think the mom and pop nature of it, if it wasn't a chain, would make more sense to me. They might not have that kind of stuff in place.
But I mean, keep a copy of a credit card number on file, even with one of those machines where you go chick and you have to do the carbon copy of the fucking credit card.
Have you ever done those? I had to do those. There's no keeping a copy of shit.
Yeah, I know. They fade pretty quickly. I know what you mean.
Yeah. I mean, you're lucky if you can read the number so you can, make charges.
Right.
And get the money from the credit card.
Listen, the lady obviously is not going to jail. I mean, I think they said they could still press charges, but I mean, at this point with that's a lot of publicity. Does the lawyers in that county in Oklahoma really want all that, or just let it go? And
well, hell, if the business is out of business, who's she paying?
Exactly. I mean, I guess the state for charging. I don't know, but all right. So the shrimp tails thing. I can't believe you didn't hear about that. This guy. Let me look it up. I want to make sure I get his name right, but he's the guy who's married to Topanga, and that came out after. Let's see, shrimp tails and cinnamon toast. Jensen Karp, that's the guy's name. It was in March, so he tweeted out pictures of a box of Cinnamon Toast Crunch, and there were shrimp tails that looked like they were coated with cinnamon and baked, and so it's his opinion that they were somehow baked into the box. And instead of doing the right thing, Cinnamon Toast Crunch or whoever their parent company is didn't really, or General Mills, they didn't just reach out to him and go, oh my God, I'm so sorry, how can we make this right? They basically took a look at the pictures that he sent them and said, "Oh, this doesn't look like this happened from this one doesn't look like it's our fault." Like they're basically like saying, "Nah, this ain't us, bro." And so he went ahead and posted all their interactions that they were DMing to him on his Twitter. And so he got Twitter famous for day. He's already famous. I think he's a writer or something like that. But back to what
if she posts or retweets it, then yeah, I'm sure she's got a few followers.
Yeah, and I mean, so back to that. I mean, he posted pictures of. I think there was like a piece of what looked like floss in the bag too. So there was a lot of weird shit in the bag, in the same bag. So it was getting a little weird. So he is married to Topanga. He's the lucky bastard that's married to Topanga. I saw her a few years ago at MegaCon, and she was quite pregnant. So this is probably the baby's father, I assume. I mean, listen, Topanga, I don't know. Maybe it's Jeremy, but
he's at least the one that thinks he's the father.
Oh, wait. Ooh, I'm reading some negative things about this all of a sudden.
Oh yeah.
I'm reading that Shrimpgate, quote unquote, is what they're calling it, took a dark and unexpected turn when multiple women came out against Karp with allegations of emotional and sexual abuse. You gotta be careful what you put out there on Twitter.
Yeah, apparently you get too famous, shit's gonna show.
So yeah, we'll see. I don't know if anything else came of that. I mean, that's the latest article I'm seeing, and that was back in March. So, but yeah, it was a crazy story. I can't believe you didn't hear about it. I think it was as it was happening that day. I must have been home or something, and so that was I was probably following it and like retweeting and whatnot. But
yeah, during your shoulder recovery.
Are you trying to make fun of me or something?
No, you were home during your shoulder recovery. What the hell? It's pretty straightforward.
Okay, thanks. Okay, what other topic did you want to cover, since we don't want to cover anything serious because you can't do serious?
Is there something you want to talk about? Go ahead.
No, I mean...
Oh, no, you're calling me out on not wanting to talk about something serious. What you got?
Listen, I know we're just going to disagree, so maybe that's not entertaining, but you can't handle seriousness anyway. You want to talk about what? You wanted to talk about Bill Gates getting divorced? Yeah,
did you see that today? Did you see some of the stuff that came out about it today?
No, what? I saw the irretrievably broken quote from the wife, but
sure. So I saw today that he transferred like 1.8 billion in stock to her the day before they filed. And I read an article just yesterday, I think, that him and his ex-girlfriend that he was dating before he married Melinda would go on a vacation together to her new North Carolina, not condo, cabin, cozy house, I think they called it. Just him and his ex-girlfriend every year would go on a vacation together to this condo and walks on the beach and dinners. It's like, what the fuck?
So it's his ex-girlfriend from before he got married?
Yeah. Apparently he even called her to ask what she thought of him proposing to Melinda. This is his ex-girlfriend. Bill might be a bit of a freak.
So he'd been married for 30 years, 27 years, something like that.
27 years, yep.
And I mean, if he's planning on getting back with his girlfriend, he better sign a prenup this time. I don't know.
Was that you that put the onion thing I saw today?
Oh, yeah.
Bill Gates is willing. That's funny as fuck.
Well, what did it say?
Bill Gates is willing to pay anybody $1 million for a condom that will not break.
something about, sorry, my peen is too huge and it's too massive and it's breaking everything. And that was from like 3 or 4 years ago, so that's why they reposted it. I'm like, yeah, that sounds relevant. Let me put that on Facebook. He's got 130 billion, I think. There's no prenup.
No. He has 65.
But listen, there's no prenup, and from what I read, she doesn't want spousal support. Does that mean she wants the 65 billion, or do you think?
Yeah, they're just gonna split that shit down the middle, man.
Isn't that what Bezos had to do?
Bezos, they split it, but she had to give him proxy for her shares, so he still votes her shares, so he still controls the company. Okay. I think it's pretty much how they did that one. And I assume Bill Gates would want kind of the same thing. Hey, yeah, we're good, but I don't want to lose my influence in the company because you're taking half the stock. So
I don't know how y'all are more. I don't know how y'all are more all about that Mackenzie Scott, man. She's cute, but whatever, that's fine.
Is that Bezos' girl?
Yeah, the old one, not the new one. And she's a billionaire. Oh. Come on, Mackenzie, give me a call.
Sorry, Heather. Sophie.
Oh, by the way, I told Heather about the thing we talked about last week, the sex dream. You remember?
I don't remember it. No.
I told you I was dreaming about, and then it was a girl, and I was going down on her.
Anyway. I might have tried to block it out.
So I mentioned it to Heather, and she did not find it funny.
No, I can't imagine why.
I think it's, yeah. I think it's because I've been friendly with some kickballers in the past. So hearing that it was a kickballer. Anyway, but then the next night it was so weird. The next night I had a dream, and it wasn't like sexual or anything. I had a dream I was in like a TV studio, and it was a really small TV studio, and like they were operating cameras, like I don't even know, like they were literally doing like the whole filming like a news thing or whatever, and there was no room to move these cameras, so the dream made no sense logistically. But then like at the end, I think I was like the boyfriend of some cute girl, and I still don't know if I placed it right because the dream goes away like this, but I think it was the chick from Schitt's Creek, Annie Murphy, who played Alexis on the show. And so I'm like, man, I'm getting some good dreams lately, and I'm remembering a little bit of them. So
by the way, it's I forgot to ask, has anybody died this week? We already talked death a little bit, but has anybody died this week? You're usually on top of this.
Yeah, Olympia Dukakis did die.
Oh yeah.
She was like 96, so something like that, or was she 89? She might have been late 80s. Whatever she was, it surprised me because I thought she had been that age for 30 years. And so,
well, that's what I saw. I saw a meme the other day. You know, Betty White's so old. 40 years ago, she played on a show where she was an old lady.
You know how old those women were supposed to be in the Golden Girls?
60s, 70s?
They were supposed to be like 55 or something like that. You think about you think about except for Estelle Getty, who was in reality only a few years older or younger than B. Arthur.
No, she was younger than B. Arthur. Okay. Yeah, that was the thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they were only supposed to be 55.
Something. I think my Heather said that. My wife said that.
Mike, you're 14. You're 14 years away. Yeah. Fuck, Vinny is 55, isn't he? Holy shit.
We're gonna call him B. Arthur from now on.
She said he was what? 64? He's already. Fuck. Damn, he's 57. Shit.
He's Heinz 57.
Well, he's definitely not Blanche. You know that.
Well, we also should say R.I.P. Vinny because we haven't heard from him since for a week. So,
oh man, now you're gonna feel bad.
I am. I'm hoping it's not true, and we will have a real remembrance of Vinny. If
I was gonna say, you're gonna work on the in memoriam thing just in case.
I will remember you.
Okay, now we're definitely getting kicked off. Fucking singing, can't stop this shit.
Listen, man, you should be able to do that. Like you can't play what other artists say, but you should be able to like freely say things. They can't control my words. They don't own my words.
I'm gonna be a little disappointed in you if this episode does not have an in memorandum. That's an easy word for you to say. If you don't have one of those at the end of this episode for Vinny, I mean, you gotta do it.
I can't do it until you say the word correctly.
In memoriam? I don't know. Fuck.
You can't. You're thinking about it. You can't make it right. In memoriam. No. In memoriam.
There you go. You got to have that now. You know that, right? It's got to be there. At the end of the episode, there's got to be like a 2-minute montage of Vinny's best clips.
At this episode?
Yes.
But I don't know if I have 2 minutes of good Vinny.
Could be like 1954 to question mark.
1954. Here's 1964, bro. Yeah, why are you aging him up like that?
I'm just saying.
Yeah. I don't know. Is that all you want to talk about?
He's not going to listen to this.
No, he doesn't listen to any of the podcasts.
He's not listening to this. It's all right. It'll be fine. No problems. It'll be fine. I don't know. Right. What else did you want to talk about this week? I didn't ask how your week went.
No. I mean, whatever. It's been really busy.
Yeah. Just work?
Yeah.
You got a haircut?
Yeah. I got to look pretty.
Did you do it yourself or go to the salon?
You were saying beforehand how pretty I looked, but you don't want to say it on air. I get it.
I don't think that happened.
I went to Sport Clips in St. Lucie West. I brought my dad
Alright.
there, and he actually enjoyed it. So I think he'll be going there. So you ever been to Sport Clips?
Yeah, I haven't been to that one. It was all right. I wasn't overly impressed.
Did you get
I
the
went to a place-
MVP?
I don't know. There's a place
Oh,
up in
well,
Vero
that's your
that-
problem.
There's a place in Vero just north of you. It's like $10. It's like 3 older ladies and they're cutting hair. It's nice.
You are so fucking old and cheap, man.
That's right.
Like the point in going to Sport Clips, this is what it is. You walk in, you say, I want the double MVP. Or in your case, because you're a senior, you can get the senior MVP. But, it's a little bit of a price difference. But anyway.
4 months, man. 4 months. But that's all right.
I think you're right. So you walk in, you say the double MVP. They cut your hair, they make it all pretty. I get the beard trim too. That's another $5. And they do my eyebrows too, which is something I didn't know existed. So that was cool to find out when I went there. One of the first few times, they just shave them, trim them up,
Yeah.
So then you get to the back. They put you in this chair where they shampoo your hair and it vibrates. So that's nice. They put your feet up. They put a hot towel on your face. And if you get the double MVP, you get the shampoo, and it's not just shampooing your hair. It's a nice scalp massage. That's the best. Like, I wish I could pay someone to massage my scalp every day, all day. But
So how much is the happy ending?
well, that's what I was saying. If this place with these 3 old ladies, that's the only way they can make it any better. but
So how's your quest for sponsorship going?
I don't know. Heather's not doing her job.
Apparently you want Sports Clips, and what was the other one?
Cider
You
Boys, man.
mentioned
I
there you go.
tweeted
I saw
at
that.
them. I put it on
I saw it.
Instagram. No one fucking responded. Like, come
It's
on,
worth a
Cider
shot.
Boys. Yeah, look, like Cider Boys media team needs to be reaching out. I'm not asking for a lot of money. Like, fucking just throw some bones, bro.
We'll take a 6-pack a week, man. We'll start there.
Did you see that? What's his name? We Speak English Good. Mike EP. Did you see what he put on Facebook?
1 million listens. or
Yeah,
something?
man. Yeah, he's on SoundCloud, I guess, and he got 1 million episode downloads, man. So, congrats to Mike EP. Go listen to We Speak
did
English
he put our
Good.
name in there or something, or respond to you or something?
Yeah, I tweeted at him. I forget what I said exactly. I was trying to sound cool, so I said, "Well, congrats, fam," or something like that. I think it stands for family, and
Wow.
so.
Please don't ever say shit like that. Please tell me you were on your personal account, because I don't want to be associated with you.
That's
saying
from the
shit
Usual
like that.
Saints, man.
Yeah, don't do that anymore.
You
make
don't know
that
how to
sound
use
bad.
you don't know how to use the work
You're right.
account.
I don't. You're right. I don't.
You didn't even
Like I
add.
said, I have a 17-year-old. That's my tech support. I don't know what your problem is.
You didn't even add our guest this week. Follow him on Twitter or anything. You are really horrible at this.
Did you?
I did.
Did you follow him already? Okay.
Yeah, I had someone
man.
had to.
I was using my personal account to contact him. What do you want me to do?
You can sign into the work account and just switch between them. It's really easy.
I don't know how to do that. Facebook does that shit to me automatically. It annoys the shit out of me.
I forget what we were talking about. Do you remember? Oh, Mike EP. Yeah. Congrats, Mike EP. And We Speak English. Go listen. He does a nifty little podcast. Yeah, see, that's what doesn't make any sense to me. So I've been listening to the Shuley Show lately because I'm catching up when Howard's not on, and I have a few episodes to catch up on. But they use drops all the time, man, and it's not just drops that they've recorded. Like they're using like Hank Hill from King of the Hill. They're using They're using other ones, and I'm just like, I mean, they don't they don't make a ton of money, so they're not paying every time they use it. Like I feel like there is a fair use doctrine to be able to use drops like that. But I don't know. Like every podcast group I'm in, it says they're like, oh no, you can't use anything like that. But I almost feel like they're talking more about music because I know music's a big thing. And for real,
Oh, yeah.
I hope Anchor doesn't try to remove my shit just for singing 2 songs. But like,
Well, I know Big Brother. They're always telling their contestants or house guests, whatever the fuck you want to call them, that they're not allowed to sing because they don't want the music on the show. So, but I would assume neither one of us have the rhythm or the melody to catch their computer check of whether we have music in our episode or not. Hopefully.
do you think I need to bleep it or cut it out totally before I?
You should just bleep like every other word. Just that would just make it sound. That way, it just sounds weird as fuck. Yeah, that's the way to go.
I'm just gonna bleep the whole thing because we really didn't go that long. It's gonna be like bleep.
No, like I said, every other word. Just make it so it's you can still tell what it is, but it's not there. Yeah.
Every other word. It's easy for someone to say who fucking doesn't do any of the editing.
You're right. That's why I'm saying it.
Yeah. Eat a dick.
No,
where's my camera? There it is.
It's in front of you. Right in front
I
of you.
forget. I moved it and I'm looking at my screen. So I'm like, where is it? Did you see that? Did you see that video of the guy in Chile? Where some robbers tried to rob him at a gas pump.
I saw like the start of it. I don't know if I saw the whole thing. What's he doing?
It's only like 10 seconds long, bro. You need to fucking watch it when I send you something. So
you sent it to us.
I think I did. I'm pretty good about it. Unlike you, when you want to talk about something, I send it to the group so everyone can look it up. Like this.
You mean when I had to send you the name of the guest 6 times?
You sent it once. You never sent an article link, but that's fine.
I did. Okay. It was still in the chat. You just got to go back and look for it because you just didn't open it.
That's a lot of work. A lot of work.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is like this John Kerry topic you want to talk about because you're biased against everything else I put on the list. And you're like, look at NYT article. And I'm like, what article? Provide me a motherfucking link. And you still haven't done so.
You're right.
Thank you. That's the first time you've ever said that to.
It hurt a little bit. I'm gonna feel that one tonight.
All right, back to the Chile. It's Chile, right?
Chilean.
No, but when you say the name of the country,
Chile.
I thought it's not Chile. I thought I've heard Chile.
If you're douchebag, yeah, sure, it's Chile.
I'm pretentious. I'm pretentious enough to actually have working internet.
Pretentious is the word I was looking for. I just didn't get there.
Well, don't worry. The listeners can't tell if you said it or not because your internet's like in and out every other word when you were trying to say douchebag or whatever you were saying. Now you're just faking.
Oh, yeah.
You should be used to that being with Christine for how many years now?
Wow.
It's coming up on 10 years, right?
Yeah. Yeah, next week.
Congratulations. I told you to run.
Thanks. Wow, you're a dick.
Anyway, so
that's funny. I told your wife the same thing at your wedding.
So this guy pulls up to a gas pump. I don't see that part, but he's already at the gas pump filling up his tank. And these dumb shits could pull up in like this white minivan or white van, whatever you want to call it. And first of all, they pull up so close to his car that the driver, the guy on the left side for us Americans, it would be the driver. I don't know if it was the passenger or not. He can't even fucking open his door all the way to get out. So he has to squeeze out this little opening. And then 2 or 3 other guys run around the other side, and it's a van, so it's got side doors. And they leave the side doors open. And so once this guy sees more than one guy, he kind of gets an idea of what the fuck's going on. I think the guys were wearing masks. And he just takes the gas pump out of his car and fucking starts spraying them with gas. and they're like, oh. And then they all jump back in the car. And since the side door is still open, he just fills the fucking car with gas. And they start driving away. But he's still pointing. He's loading that motherfucker up with gas. So I'm guessing they either got really exposed to a lot of fumes and got really sick, or maybe they got caught, or maybe they're dead. I don't know. I didn't really see the follow-up to that story. Awesome. But I thought that was a clever way for that guy to think fast on his feet. So yeah.
I don't know that I would spray gas around if someone tried to rob me at a gas station, but not a bad idea.
I mean, listen, you're a physicist, or you are a physics major. You're not a physicist.
Yeah, let's go with that. Man, that was 20 years ago.
I mean, listen, gasoline theoretically could or would be lethal if left on you and you're inhaling it. So, I mean, that's a deadly weapon. You're spraying at someone, and if they're coming at you with weapons or not, man, if they're trying to take what's yours, I think you have the right to respond in force. So,
sure.
I mean, that's you, Mr. Gun Nut. I assume you have a gun?
Never shot a gun.
Do you have a gun?
Nope. No. Oh. I never shot one, but I got 6 of them. The fuck?
Well,
no.
I don't know. I thought maybe you had one, for safety or whatever. You're all about that.
I've thought about it.
Thing. You know what?
I've been thinking about it lately.
You ever have like that hair, man, that is there? I got it. You can't get it. I got that motherfucker. See,
it's like a spider web.
Yeah, it's just touching my arm the entire time we've been podcasting. I'm just trying to figure out what it was.
Whose hair is it?
I don't know. Probably Heather's. I think it was red. I don't know.
Maybe.
I don't know. Oh, I went to trivia last night. That's something we can talk about.
How'd you do?
I didn't place in any of the rounds or at the end, but it's a
Star Wars trivia.
Yeah, listen, I did well, but I got 39 out of
playing by yourself, or
yeah, there was some drunk girl there, but she gave me one right answer. The number that C-3PO says in the asteroid field, what the survival chances are. It was multiple choice.
Now, see, if you knew you were going to a Star Wars trivia night, why did you not ask for my oldest child to go with you so you could win?
I'm tired of inviting people and people not showing up, so I don't do that anymore.
When's the last time you invited me somewhere?
I'm sure there's a time.
I'm sure there was a time. Yeah, thanks for the. Yeah, we've invited. No, you haven't. No. We invited you, but we got COVID. No, we got COVID. Yeah,
I did have COVID, and your wife said that your youngest son would freak out because I haven't tested negative, which I still haven't done because I'm not going to get bothered getting testing anymore.
Why?
Dude, I went the last 2 times I went, it was inconclusive, and then I went I thought I've told this story, and then the third time I went. I mean, after those 2 times, I was scheduled an appointment at CVS drive-thru, was waiting in line for literally 30 minutes. The line wasn't moving, and we had just gone shopping, and I thought it was going to be an in-and-out procedure like every other time I've been to CVS, 10 minutes max, but it wasn't. And so we had groceries in the car. I'm like, fuck this, and I left, and I'm like, I canceled the appointment. They're like, why are you canceling the appointment in the app? And I said, one of the options was actually too long of a wait. So, I mean, obviously this is an issue for them, but I never experienced that before. So, I mean, I just haven't gone back. And what's the point? You know, they say after 10 days, you're not contagious anymore. I'm double vaxxed. Wife's double vaxxed. My kid will be double vaxxed soon. Well, I mean, whenever they approve that. So
I think they were approving the Pfizer for him this week, maybe.
Yeah.
So theory.
I'm the idiot that's going to go get their child vaccinated, Jeremy.
Okay. I don't think we've talked about it yet. I don't know if they're going to or not.
Oh, well, no, you talked on a previous show about stop touching your computer. I can hear it. I can see the webcam shaking, so I know your hand's resting on it or something. I don't know. Is it resting on a cat or something mobile?
There's no cats in my house.
Yeah, there's no pussy for you.
Evil creatures.
Shit, where was I going, Jeremy?
I don't know.
Were we talking about trivia? No, that was before.
No, you were making fun of my kids.
Which one?
You were making fun of us, whether we're going to vaccinate them or not.
Oh yeah, no. You said I can't believe people would want to vaccinate their children.
No, I couldn't believe they want them to be part of a test vaccine of their children.
Is this not a test because it's emergency use authorization and not full FDA procedure? Or?
At least there's been some testing. Now it's at least, a little further along.
Right.
I don't know that I'd want my kid to be the first one to take a vaccine. I don't know about you.
I don't know. We want to get her vaccinated to get some semblance of normal back, but I'm available, motherfucker. You can talk to your, what is he, 10 years old now, that kid?
13.
You don't even know. I'm going to tell him. I'm going to text that motherfucker right now.
He's 13.
Hang on. I got his number in here.
Shut up.
I'm going to do this live on the podcast. Chris Worth, your dad. No, I can't say your dad. The guy living in your house doesn't know how old you are.
I got the answer right. I thought about it. I got it right.
Yeah, you can't read my text, but
no.
it says the guy living in your house doesn't know how old you are. I haven't sent it yet. I'll debate it.
I saw that.
All right. Anything else, or should we take a quick break and go to the interview?
Yeah, we can go to the interview. Why not?
I think we've talked a lot longer than we anticipated.
You think Vinny will show up in time for the interview?
No.
No, you don't think so?
I don't think so because we've already recorded it.
Well, now you're just knocking down the fourth wall. What the hell, man?
Vinny, is Vinny gonna be there in the past? Do we have time travel yet? Oh, great Scott!
Man, they didn't know we already recorded it. They didn't know this was after. What the fuck?
I know, but I thought it'd be a funny way to go out for this break.
Oh yeah, you could have said that after we said, "Hey, all right, we're going on a break." Dumbass.
All right, so we're going to take a quick break, and then we will have our interview with retired Arizona State Trooper James Casey, author of The Traffic Stop, which can be found on jamescaseyauthor.com for sale. He's shipping it already. self-proclaimed doesn't know much about tech, and you'll hear more about that in the interview. But he's a great guy. So we'll be right back with that interview. You're listening to The Usual Saints.
Don't send that fucking text.
We'll see.
All right.
This is Michaela Lee, and you are listening to The Usual Saints. Because you're cool, and you should know that. Hype!
Welcome back to The Usual Saints. I'm Mike D here with Jeremy, and we have special guest. Let me make sure I get this right. Is it retired Arizona State Trooper James Casey?
Yes, it is. Thank you.
All right. Want to make sure I get that right.
Right. I wish I still did it, but I'm retired now.
I understand.
I think we all want to be retired right now. So I invited you on the show because, I was a huge fan of Live PD. So I watched you. You were, I think it would be fair to say you were probably one of the first stars of the show, people's favorite, and everybody
Thanks.
enjoyed watching you on the show and interacting with the public.
You want to hear something
job.
cool? You want to hear a cool fact about that? When I guest hosted, I believe it was May 11, 2017, I was actually the first guest host out trend the show. I still have it saved. I trended 2 nationally in the show 4. So that's pretty cool. Yeah. The hashtag Casey segment.
So I have more general questions about the show.
Sure.
Like, how did you get involved with Live PD? Which, if people don't know, Live PD was a show that was on, I don't know, about 4 years, I think, 3-4 years before it was
started 2016.
And it was Live PD who had cameramen following around officers around the country and would go to different officers and watch their interaction with the public or talk to them about what was going on or watch what was going on. Sometimes it was fairly intense. Sometimes it was a little jovial. But
and sometimes it was both.
a couple of years come to mind when jovial, Daisy Dukes, and finding different things in the cars with there was a man wearing Daisy Dukes one night, Mike. It was
I missed it. Sorry.
It was interesting.
I wish I did
YouTube
too.
you can find it. It was good. But how did you come to be involved with the show?
All right. It's a good question. I actually got a call from the, I don't know what they call them, bureau chief or something of the Highway Patrol Division at the Arizona Department of Public Safety, the DPS. They asked me if I would be interested in doing the show, which I said I would. And they had based it on activity level. I was a high producing arrest wise, so that was one of the things they said they really wanted.
Okay.
So that's how I got involved in it. They just called and asked, and I said, sure, I'll see how it goes. Because to be honest with you, like even the show back in the beginning, they didn't know how long it was going to last. I always kick myself because I wish I had talked about merchandising their T-shirts because they just had no idea. So
Yeah.
I come from sorry, Jeremy, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Go ahead.
I come from a journalism background myself. So, I was a news photographer. So, I know what that's like. I've never been in a situation where, they were like really following you guys. I've been on raids and stuff like that, but we always had to step back. So, I'm sure that was a different experience. Did you ever have any prior to Live PD? Did you ever have any experience like where you worked with cameramen or anything like that at all in Arizona, anything like that?
No, never. And prior to Arizona, I was a city cop in Pittsfield, Massachusetts for 8 years. So, in both places. No, I rode solo patrol pretty much my entire career. So that was a totally new experience for me, having somebody in the car next to me.
Now, did the show did the show kind of pay to have extra officers on the road so that you guys could respond to more, or was it completely your normal routine?
No. I can't speak on other departments, but I know as far as our department went, no, they didn't pay anything. Our department actually had to hire extra detail officer for if Trooper Todd Poole or Steve Jacobs or I made an arrest. They just call him a transport officer, and we call him. He would transport him to the jail and get the paperwork processed. But No, I've heard other agencies had squads working, the live PD detail. It was just the two of us, me and the other trooper who I worked with.
Yeah, I didn't know maybe they was part of their deal was to, hey, you guys can have a couple extra cops on the road because we'll pay for these two type thing.
Yeah, no, they didn't. And I think that the thought behind that is then people would say, well, you're paying now to make arrests,
Okay.
Because I had people ask me that. Actually, when I had the cameraman next to me, that I had arrested, they would say, man, how much do you make for arresting me? And I said, I don't make anything. I said, I just do this for, so
just doing your job.
Yeah.
I'm doing the job. I'm not getting anything extra, man. Like, just chill out. You committed a crime. Let it go.
Yeah. Well, the other thing too is why they hired a detail officer too is because some of the arrests we had, we had to turn over to other people. So they got credit for our felony arrests, so,
Gotcha.
And they didn't have to write the paperwork. That's what the worst part of it was.
So that's not to be able to get you back on patrol. They had someone else come pick them up and transport them for you.
Yeah.
Watching you do paperwork wouldn't have made good TV.
Yeah, no.
Turn it into C-SPAN all of a sudden.
Yeah, no, I don't think people want to see a 2-hour DUI,
No.
Now, I mean, I assume with the live PD, because I've seen a few episodes. I don't think I was as watching it as much as Jeremy was, but is that just a cameraman with probably a cell backpack that he's putting out a signal on, just following you guys, running around with you guys, and maybe a producer, and that's just how it goes? He's basically documenting everything. Like you said, it one night could just be pretty boring. They're checking in with you guys, nothing's happening, but then they go to the next city and there's a crazy thing going on.
Yeah. No, actually, well, okay. There was two ways they did it. On live nights, which in the beginning it was just Friday, and then when it became Friday and Saturday, I had a full car with me. I would have a cameraman, I would have the supervisor, the camera, the crew supervisor, and then an audio visual guy that, in case something. And if you ever saw it in the cars, it looked like they had takeout boxes, 4 takeout boxes on the top of the cruisers. That's how they got the satellite feed.
Gotcha.
So. And I tell you, the people that sat in the back of the cruiser, there was some of the July days. I'd look back there and they'd be sweating, and I felt bad for them. And 110 degrees outside, and they're sitting in the back of a poorly air-conditioned car.
Oh, yeah. Never thought about. There's probably not great ventilations in the back of the car. They got to keep you separated and whatnot.
Yeah,
it's not so good.
My Charger, when I got in my last car, my Charger was great because I had vents in the back on the roof, so somebody didn't cook back there.
Yeah.
Now, for people who don't know, what's the story like? What I'm obviously not saying made famous. What tragedy happened to you? Because I know there was something where I'm reading about this guy, and obviously something horrific happened. So for people who haven't watched the show, I mean, what transpired, if you don't mind talking about it?
Oh, no, not at all. All right. On October 8th of 2014, I was on patrol, and it was about 3 a.m. And for those who know Phoenix, I was at I-17 in Indian School, and I was looking to make a turn and go south get back onto the I-17, go southbound. Anyhow, as I was pulling up to the red light, I saw it was a Kansas plated car. It had started to rain, and the driver and the front passenger both rolled their windows down, and they were just sitting there in the rain, and I was looking at them, and I knew that was a tint violation. I had my strong suspicion. That's why. And plus, the other thing is I testified when I pulled up next to them and I was looking at them, they were both just staring straight ahead and not moving, not looking at me. So, my thought the car was stolen, but when I ran the plates, it didn't come back. So anyhow, the car made a left, get on the freeway. I didn't want to spook it because if I flipped on my lights and it took off and went into the city, I wouldn't have been able to chase it because it was an equipment violation. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to commit it to the freeway, and then I could get it. So what it did is when I U-turned, I got on the freeway, I got behind it, and the windows rolled up, and it was limo tint all across the vehicle. In Arizona, the front two, driver, passenger, they have to be 30 to 33% tint. So meaning only 30 to 33% of light can come in, you can see. Anyhow, so I pull it over. I got behind it. I pulled it over, and it pulled into a NightGen parking lot in Phoenix, just a little north of McDowell. And I walked up to the car, there were 5 people in the car. The driver, she was very scantily dressed. And the other 4 in the vehicle, they looked, I could just tell from my training experience, they were gang members. And so as I was looking at it, was a female driver, female front seat passenger, Ramon Bueno, then his girlfriend, Valeria Jaime, and then Danny Vargas sat next to him or her. So the driver, as she was getting her information to me, I was looking around. Well, Ramon, who was sitting behind her, started moving around. So I told him to stop. I had her roll the window down so I could see what he was doing. And I had everybody put their hands where I could see him. So as the driver is getting the information, I'm looking at all these people, and I asked her, I said, "Hey, how long do you know these people?" And she's like, "Oh, I'm good friends." And I said, "Who's the person next to you?" And she's like, "Well, that's Cookie." And I was like, no. I said, "Is that a real name?" And I said, "I want a real name. What's her name?" She says, "Well, I don't really know her." And I said, "Well," I said, "Well, how long have you known him?" She goes, "Well, I just met him tonight." So right there, I was actually suspecting human trafficking. That's where I was going to with that when she was saying, because it fit the profile. So I get those 2, the driver and the front seat passenger's name. And as I go back, I hand my notepad, and Ramon Bueno, wound up giving me a false name. Valeria gave me her name. Well, Danny Vargas, as I testified, he was laying with his arms, across the door frame like he was sleeping. And I was putting my light on him, he wasn't responding. So I said, "Hey," I said, "Man, if you're not going to respond, I'm going to call an ambulance because, if you're that out of it, you're a medical emergency." And he just looked at me and he said, "I hate cops." And I said, "Yeah, so do I. Sign the form." And, and exactly that. And the jury, when I said that, the jury laughed too, because I have, as I explained to them, I've calmed down some of the angriest people when they scream that. And I go, "Yeah, me too." And it's just a way to throw them off. So none of them laughed. They all just sat there stone-faced. Vargas gave me a false name. So what happened is I got my backup there. Officer Ray Cruz and Officer Mike Alfano, they showed up. Mike went to the back of the vehicle. Ray went to the passenger side, and I went to the driver's side rear. And I was asking, because like I said, Ramon gave me a false name. So I was figuring he had just traffic warrants or something. So as I was talking to him, I said, that's not your name. And because one name came back false, no record found, and the other one came back deceased. I don't recall which one gave me which, but that's the one he came back. So I told him that, I said, "Man, look, let's give him a false name." Well, I said, "Give me your social security number and I'll run it." And he said 60, and 602 is a Phoenix or an Arizona one. So as he said 60, I started to lean in, and when I did, as I've said over and over, I just heard an explosion. I got spun about halfway around, and I just saw the look of terror on Trooper Mike Alfano's face. And then the next thing I remember is Trooper Ray Cruz straddling me, screaming, "Casey, are you there?" So what had happened was, after I got shot, let me back up. So after I got shot, the car took off. Well, the driver, she didn't know that hotel very well because she could have made an immediate left and been out on the frontage road and gone. But she went around the back, and there's one way in, one way out. So as she was coming back out, as the car made that right turn onto the frontage road, Ramon Bueno leans out of the back seat window and he starts shooting at Trooper Ray Cruz and Mike Alfano as they were rendering aid to me. So they left. Well, what had happened was Ramon had shot me with a .357, and I got it in the left cheekbone. That was a tough night that night.
No, I mean, you're lucky to be here. I mean, I know Jeremy's got a question, but I mean, .357. I'm not a gun guy, but from what I know about it, I mean, that's powerful. That's powerful. Yeah. So
I was lucky in the fact, I mean, for many reasons, but he used practice ammunition, and practice ammunition, when it hits a solid object, is designed to explode. So luckily he hit my cheekbone flush, and that's what it did.
Okay.
So what was the reasoning for him that he thought that was what he needed to do? Did he have warrants or?
Yeah, he did. He was under suspicion. He had killed a girl 3 weeks earlier before I had him. From what I understand, it was over a drug debt that she owed the gang, and so he was muscle, and so he wasn't going back. And even the driver testified when she was on the stand that as they were getting pulled over, Ramon was in the back saying, "I'm not going back. I'm not going back," and because he's shot 2 people in the past.
Well, he was wrong about that.
Oh yeah. He's a violent guy.
Well, I mean, he went back. He's in jail now.
Oh yeah. He got 86 and a half day for day. So, he was
nice.
45 years old. So,
Did anybody else in the car get charged?
Yeah, actually, well, his girlfriend got charged with hindering prosecution because they were monitoring her, watching her, and she was making cell phone calls to him. And then Danny Vargas, he got shot, when my partner started shooting after Ramon shot, he got shot in the back. And when him and Ramon bailed out of the car, he threw his bloody shirt down. Phoenix PD collected it, and they linked him to 3 unsolved first-degree murders, drive-by shootings. So he actually is doing life without parole. So, as like I said to people, a window tint violation, and there are some dangerous people in that car.
Yeah. So your book is largely about this, right?
Yeah, it's a part of it. I have what I did with the book is I basically chronicled my year up into the shooting. I had my wife and my kids talk about what it was like when they found out, got that 4 a.m. knock on the door. Because I always said, I don't think we hear that very often. You always hear about what happens to a cop, but not the family. So I really wanted to get that out there. And then I also did a lot of research on Ramon himself. So, the reports I got, I believe if memory serves me, I think he was smoking crack by like 11 or 12 years old and, in a gang by then. And, not that it's an excuse, but, I couldn't imagine doing any of that at 12 years old.
And just for what's the title of your book is?
Oh, the traffic stop.
I always make sure we get that on there.
Yeah.
Got to put that in there,
Yeah, of course. Thank you.
So, obviously the rehab had to be quite extensive or lengthy, I'm assuming.
Yeah, I was out. Well, I was always determined to, I said I wasn't going to let him beat me. So I was always determined to get back if I could. It was about 16 months, 17 surgeries. I had the first night was 2, and that was 9.5 hours total. But I had, as I said, I think that first week I was out, after I got out of the hospital, that first week I was out of the hospital, I remember I was watching Sunday Night Football with my wife, and I said, I looked over and I said, in the afternoon, my left eye started to hurt. And then, and I mentioned something to her about the Sunday evening game. I told her, Nancy, I got to go to the hospital. I feel like someone's trying to push my eyeball out, from the back of my head. Oh, when I got there, luckily, there were bullet fragments in both my eyes, and the one in my left was starting to move towards the cornea. So that was the next surgery I had to have. I had 5 bullet fragments taken out of both eyes. Then, they had to the whole left side of my nose was gone, so they had to reconstruct that. It was a lot. I did the worst answer was, and I testified this because I wanted Ramon to get I had the bullet when it hit, it blew a golf ball size hole in the roof of my mouth. And because I have titanium and not bone, I had to have a denture plate. Well, to close that, they had to graft the skin from right to left, and 155 stitches to close it. And it was an outpatient surgery. I told the jury, I said, think about it, when you get a wisdom tooth out, you get 2 to 4. I said, I had almost 40 times that amount. So, wow. That was the worst.
That is crazy.
So how do you, like you said, you always wanted to go back to work. Hey, how was that first traffic stop back on the job? How do you walk up to that car again, or any car again after that?
Yeah, well, when I first went back to investigations, special investigations unit. I was there for a year. I didn't really care for it, or a year and a half, I believe. No, it was about a year. I didn't really care for it. It was more of administration than criminal. So when I went back to patrol, yes, to answer your question, I I asked to ride with somebody the first night, just to, that way I could be, the contact officer and walk up on the passenger side. That kind of eased my fears. And then, I think after the next night, I worked about a half a shift with an officer, and I said, all right, I'm ready. And I was just right back to it. Maybe I have a screw loose. Maybe it mustn't knock the screw loose. I was right back to it.
No, I mean, we don't talk about my job too much because I work with people who I don't want to know. My clients, I don't want to know my name, but I work in a field where I deal with a lot of law enforcement, and so I understand what you mean by administrative and reports, and it gets kind of bureaucratic and annoying and stuff. But you got to do what you love, and I'm glad that you were able to get back out on the road.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, well, I mean, just for example, and not to. One of the cases that I was assigned was a chief and an assistant chief in a smaller community south in Arizona, and they were talking behind each other's backs. And I was like thinking to myself, man, I didn't go through all that surgery to deal with this. I mean, this is ridiculous. You don't need me to do this. So, and actually, I think the second night I was back by myself. It was really cool. Well, not cool, that happened, but I responded to a rollover collision on I-10 by the tunnel there in Phoenix. And when I walked up, I was showing some of the newer officers. It was an older male, and I think he was like 62, 63 years old. And he had a 19-year-old female with him, 2:30 in the morning. And I was pointing out to the guys, I said, hey, do you notice something about that female? And he was like, what? And I said, no, she's not wearing shoes. And yeah, what's that? And I said, prostitution. He's working her, that way she can't run if she, so I was like teaching them. It's like, I got right back into it. That guy, 27 warrants, gave me a false name. I told him, you're not going anywhere. I'm going to bring you to the fingerprint. We fingerprinted him, and I think he had a warrant from every court in Maricopa County. So, he was a bad dude. I'm glad I got him, but once I got him, I was like, all right, I'm back and running now.
So how many cases come from, tint or, turning into the wrong lane, or just, you just have something doesn't look right about what they're doing. I mean, how much of it is that? And, okay, yeah, something's weird over there. Hey, look, they just, made an illegal turn. I'm going to go see what's going on.
That's hard. Part of it for me is again, I just say, because I testified to it, I wasn't really a big ticket writer. So I wasn't out looking for, I wasn't out looking just to, have a whole bunch of stops and have a bunch of, because I didn't like writing tickets, especially out here in Arizona. There's fines for it's like $300 for a simple speeding ticket. I mean, it's a lot of money in my book. Yeah. I would look, as I used to tell when I teach the academy classes, or I would tell a younger officer, I would say, all right, you're on I-17 southbound and you see a 1994, or I guess that's way too old. You see a 2001 Chevy Beretta. And I said, and then as you're about, you run the plates, the plate comes back, mandatory insurance suspended, meaning it's not registered. And I said, as you start to move over, I said, a 2019 BMW goes flying by you at $120 on the freeway. So which one are you going to get? Oh man, I'm going after that car. I said, see, I go after that. I don't care about that. That's probably that's a speed, probably DUI. But I said, that's where you're going to get criminal activity, and that's just the way it was. Don't get me wrong. I would go after the car if it turned out, I ran the plate and it came back, everything was good. Because I did chase a guy in my, he had a Mustang GT and I had a Charger. And I think I caught up to about 130 miles an hour and he blew 2.7. And I was thinking to myself, man, this guy's 130 miles an hour and he's like, over 3 times the legal limit. So
that was something that surprised me watching the show, because me and my wife would watch pretty much every week because, it's more interesting than watching most TV for me. I was surprised how different the rules of engagement, or however you want to call it, whether you can chase another car, what, when you let them go, what, and obviously what they were allowed to pull someone over for. Oh, I smelled marijuana, or, hey, I, this or that. And it was surprised me how different the different police station or different departments rules for how they had to conduct themselves were.
Yeah. That's, I don't know. I as far as chasing, I mean, for DPS for us, it was, Well, I don't know if you saw the episode. It was sometime in the spring of 2017. I actually got the Phoenix helicopter Firebird.
Yep, the black car, I think, ended up in a parking lot. Is that the one?
No, I'm talking about.
Hey man, I watched the show. I watched every.
No. That's. I'm trying to think of which one you're talking about. This one was at night, and the helicopter was looking for it, and I found it, and it took off on me. Well, because it was in the city streets, I couldn't light it up. Because once I did and it took off, I would have to brake. So what happened is we were on the radio and Todd Poole and other units were setting up for it. Well, we got it boxed in at the red light, and I never had put my red and blues on. And the guy was he had just been paroled for a child sex violation, and I think he said he had 10 years hanging on his head. And as I said, he dodged a bullet that night because I didn't pursue him. So I couldn't arrest him. I charged him with a misdemeanor reckless driving, but,
because he wasn't fleeing from lights, you couldn't do anything.
Yeah. As far as the smelling marijuana, I don't know about all that. I wouldn't, I would, I don't know. I get it if you use a probable cause, but I tried to stay safe with, if I had I always had a legal violation. I didn't want to go into court with, well, I smell marijuana because, I just think a good defense attorney could have a field day with that because, smell it. I've smelled people burning grass and it's, you're like, well, what does that smell? And it's, some guy burning grass, so.
I know, I think it was West Virginia, just their Supreme Court in West Virginia just said that it's not probable cause anymore. Just smelling marijuana doesn't work anymore.
Yeah, Massachusetts did that too, just recently, because I still keep up with that. And yeah, you can't use that plain smell anymore. Those are the legal terms.
I did have a question because I remember you saying something before. So, obviously there's things where you have to pull someone over, you see something, you see a violation, something like that. If you're out and you don't see a violation, is like a suspicious vehicle with no violations, is that enough to run a tag and see something, or is that against regulation? I don't know.
No, that's fine. That's a good question. No, as far as running tags, you can do that because I got asked that question on another case I had that went to trial. In Arizona, the jury can ask the officer questions. That was a question I asked. As I said, the MVD, as I explained to the jury, driving is a privilege. It's not a right. So the MVD allows us to run plates. And as I said, we ran plates for the purposes of looking for stolen vehicles, mandatory insurance suspended, which would be, no registration, no insurance. As I explained, you get hit and somebody doesn't have insurance, that's going to cost you money. So that's what we did.
Right.
Now, as far as a suspicious vehicle, I would for me, I would have to have more with that. If you couple that with, the vehicle sitting in a dark industrial area, I know it to be high crime from drugs, stolen vehicle arrest, prostitution, then I could articulate, reasonable suspicion on why. But, I've seen some of those cop shows where they just pull in and they just light up a vehicle and let's say have a call or something, or they know that area to be high crime or,
Right, I get you. Did you deal with a lot of human trafficking? Because how close is Maricopa to the border or things like that? And that doesn't have to mean anything because human trafficking takes place all over the place here in Florida. I see a lot of it. So,
when I first started, I didn't really deal with a lot of it in Phoenix. But when I first started from 2008 to 2013, I was assigned in the Casa Grande or District 6 in Arizona is what they call it, but the Casa Grande area. And we covered a large stretch of I-10 and I-8 from Pinal, from the Maricopa down to we were in Pinal County. So it's Maricopa and Pima County, Phoenix and Tucson. We were in between the both of them. As I said, the most, I think I stopped a van one day. I was just watching traffic and it, rolled by, freeways out here, in that area at 75 miles an hour. And it rolled by me at about 35 miles an hour and it was about 3 inches off the ground. I wound up, there's 23 people in it.
Wow.
When I pulled it over, I talk about a case I had where I stopped a car one day for speeding and I walked up and it was a gang member and he had a 16-year-old Asian female in the front, mother, father, grandfather, and the mother was holding a baby. So 5 in the car. And anyhow, I got the guy out and I started talking to him, and he's like, I'm like, I was doing the standard questions, how do you know how do you know them? He's, he's telling me he's their friend. Well, when I went back up to and I was trying to talk to the girl, she was just smiling and nodding her head. So I used a trick, to see if I said, "Oh, snake," or something like that. And I pointed, and she just looked at me and smiled and nodded her head. And I was like, man, they don't speak English and they don't understand English. I called the Border Patrol and they came out there. They arrested the guy for human trafficking. And they told me, they're like, you saved that girl, would have been put into prostitution. More than likely, they would have killed the old man because he was no financial value to the cartel. And then the parents would have been put to work and they would have sold the baby. So those people had, they would have been, living terribly had that continued, that journey, So
right.
I fairly regularly, from those time frames. Yeah. So one of my buddies, Mike Alfano, who was on the shooting of the night I had when Ramon, he and I always joked about the first time I believe I met him. We had a call on I-8, and that was way out on I-8 where it's desolate out there. They had suspicious activity. People were driving by and they saw people, on the side of the road and something was going on. Anyhow, we go out there and we find 300 pounds of marijuana just on the side of the road. They had dumped the load and somebody was coming back to get it, So,
okay.
And it's tough because because you got to stand with a rifle now, so that's a big amount of money to somebody. So, yeah, I didn't like, I can tell you that I didn't like going out there late at night.
I bet.
Do you have a case or a bust that you're most proud of, or that, obviously saving a family is, pretty big deal. Anything else that you're like, hey, yeah, I made a difference that night?
Oh, yeah. Well, the one that I had on Live PD, that guy, that was he was in a parking violation. I used that industrial area. It was right before the show went off the air. So it was 8:30 our time. 11:30 would be Eastern time. Anyhow, I found a car sitting in a no parking zone. It was an industrial area. It was all closed at that time. It was a 37-year-old man, and he had a 16-year-old boy in the car. And I got the guy out of the car, and I started talking to him. And, he was telling me the kid was his friend, didn't know his friend's name. But what made it even more suspicious is, as he told me, he said, I said, what are you doing? He said, I'm bringing him home. Well, he said, hey, the kid lived in Glendale, and where they were facing eastbound, and Glendale was westbound. My other thought is, well, besides, like, most adults don't pick up kids. I mean, that's obvious. But the other one is, if you did, I would be in a well-lit area, where there's cameras everywhere. So, there's no false allegations. So that was, that right there. Well, anyhow, the guy, when I got there, he was searching for desert locations. He had a gun, knife, meth, liquor, condoms, lube, rope, and handcuffs. And he had taken that. And what we later found out is he had taken that kid to the adult video store and watched porn with him. And then when I stopped him, that guy was searching for locations to go shoot his gun. And, they had to, we were out there 2.5 hours, and they cut it down to, like a 5-minute segment. But what they didn't catch is when I was telling that kid, I was like, man, you had no idea what that guy, that guy was going to rape you. And I said, if and I said, he was going to kill you if you weren't going to be a willing participant. That kid had no idea. He was just like, no, how do you say that? I was like, man, right. That was probably one of the best stops. Of my career. And then I've worked cases like homicide when I was in Pittsfield. I was a detective there. And I've worked sexual assault where, I always felt like a part of me was a part of that case. So, I'd say those cases, definitely stick with me.
Right. Do you have any regrets from being on Live PD?
Yes and no. I did, the good part was, what was good about it is exposure for people to see, police work, good police work. Because, I was never in it for a show. How I was from day one is how I was from the end of it. I saw some officers, they seemed to, in the beginning, they were a little shy. And then towards the end, it was like they were working a stand-up routine, and come on, just be yourself.
You want to give names? No?
No.
I think Jeremy.
I told somebody once, I was joking about when I was guest hosting, I'm tough. My wife doesn't like watching those cop shows with me, like Cops or the Live PD show, because, I use them as like training. So, I see and I like to point out flaws and stuff. So that night I was guest hosting. I won't say the agency, but Tom Morris, Dan Abrams had gone off to, I think, do his segment where he tapes it in the, or he does his segment where he's in the control room. And it was just Tom and I sitting at the desk. Well, I was wired up and I forgot. So, we're watching this and it was like a huge officer safety issue. And I looked at Tom and I was like, oh my God, Tom. I said, I can't believe it. I started naming it and Tom looks at me. He's like, whoa, man. He goes, you're on mic. And I said, oh yeah, sorry. So,
you got to always think that mic is hot, man. Always.
Yeah. Well, I didn't say anything bad, but it was just, it's probably, I guess I wouldn't really want another cop critique. Well, if it was constructive criticism, I could take it. If it was just something like, like I had a commander once tell me at DPS, he pulled me aside and he goes, I have to tell you, Casey. And I go, what's that, sir? And he goes, I wish you were more like Trooper Poole. He goes, he's firm, he's he's stern, and he's like, he's models a trooper. He goes, I look at you and you're, laughing and joking with people and all that. And I looked at him and I said, well, Major, I said, I agree with you. If I was 6'3" and, built like Todd, sure, I could be that way too, but I'm not built like that. So, I come off with a stern, tough guy attitude. Some people are going to call me out on it that, I don't want unnecessary fights. Right. So, and the other thing too is, I might've been laughing and joking or just doing my thing, but I was also thinking, 3 steps ahead. Okay. I was planning my, did I really care, where, you say, hey, where are you coming from? Oh, I'm doing, I'm looking for them to talk. I'm looking to, or I'm smelling to see if I can smell alcohol in their breath. And, or if people don't look to, look like the kid and the adult, I knew right off the bat that didn't look right from the jump. So, yeah.
And you mentioned Maricopa County. Is that where that sheriff made the guys wear pink? Okay.
Yeah, no, he's gone now. Joe Arpaio. No, right. It's he got beat, I think 1 or 2 elections ago. Paul Penzone's the new sheriff.
Okay.
And then,
gotcha.
And then to finish your question, I know I go off on a rant. The tough part with doing live PD is the internal jealousy. That was very, very tough because, especially you figure with cops, you have a lot of type A personalities. And, in the beginning, nobody really wanted to do it. And then once it started taking off in popularity, and then the stories, like I always joke about, the crazy began for me probably early 2017. I get a call from the guy in the supply room or the mail room. He tells me I got a package. And I said, a package. And, keep in mind, I never got mail at work. Why would I get anything mailed to the police department? So I said, a package. I said, I'm not expecting nothing. And the guy, I said, go ahead and open it. He tells me. So he opens it up and he's like, oh, some woman mailed you her underwear. And I was like, and I said, what? He goes, yeah, some woman mailed you her underwear. And I said, all right. And he goes, so you're going to come pick them up? I said, I think what to throw, add to my collection? Come on. Said, no, throw them away. Throw them away. So that's when, but the jealousy, by the time the show was done, they were going to create our own squad for Todd, Steve, and I, and we were getting promoted. It was unreal. It was tough. It was definitely tough.
So why did the show move on from your department? Was that your department's decision or the show's or?
Yeah, it was my department's. So I was told the first thing I was told was my celebrity was the reason they moved on. And then when I reminded them that when they asked me to meet other top law enforcement officials of federal and other state, And I did so willingly, or sick or injured children, and I did so willingly. They didn't really care too much about my celebrity then. Then it quickly changed to finances. It was too financial for us to join or to continue. And then when I was doing research for my next book, I found out the boss, the colonel, and one of the Live PD producers was trying to work on their own show. So, I'll let you, I think it was celebrity, but I think if somebody was a little jealous of somebody else, if you're asking my opinion.
Yeah, because I thought your department always came off in a pretty good light, whereas some of the other departments, the city itself might have not come off so well. Tulsa, especially to me, I mean, the officers were great, but some of the incidents they had made the city kind of look worse than I would have thought of as Tulsa, Oklahoma. I didn't realize it was such a tough town, or tough area, so much crime, and and I thought that might have had something to do with why their department decided to leave eventually, or how it works out.
It could be. Yeah, no, it's good. It could be. I know what was lucky for us is we were state police. So, there wasn't really a city or a town, so we could go in different areas. And, but yeah, I guess I could see that. But then the problem to me, I guess, but I'm looking at it from another standpoint, I think, I guess it does. Yeah, it goes political there, because you have the mayor, the city council, they don't want to show the worst parts of the city. And then, and then Live PD, you're not going to go out and work an area where there's nothing, because that doesn't make TV. So,
right. Hey, Trooper Casey, if you're willing, this is the first time we've ever actually been able to receive a phone call and play it so everyone can hear each other. We have our first phone call on the Usual Saints podcast. If you're cool with it,
sure, go ahead.
All right. So I think I have Bob from Florida. Bob, are you there?
Yes, we're here.
Bob.
Next question.
All right. Well, I have Trooper Casey here. Do you have any questions for him or anything about law enforcement?
Oh, sure. Well, James, first I want to thank you for your service, and keeping us all safe. I got a couple of questions about, the late development. What's your thoughts on this defunding the police? And also, if you have any comments on the Chauvin trial, if you felt that was a little bit, he used a little excessive force, but was his punishment a little excessive?
All right. The defund the police. I don't agree with that at all. Being a former police officer, or retired police officer, I don't. These ideas of having unarmed security officers making traffic stops. I got shot on a traffic stop. I don't understand that. As I said, I had a college student ask me this kind of thing, and as I said to her, I've never been part of a police budget process, so I'm really just speaking off the cuff. Do I think there's areas the police department could cut? Sure, like anything. But that goes to why are other departments not being cut? And then the other thing I think people don't realize is, I think they're starting to see it now, is when you start cutting the police and defunding it, certain areas they're going to lose their patrol, and then you have, terrible response times. You don't have enough officers to get there. So I don't understand it. I don't agree with it. And the Chauvin trial, the second degree murder, I did not agree with. I don't really know, because I don't know if there's any premeditation. I don't really know Minnesota law, so I'm kind of speaking uneducated on it. I definitely thought manslaughter. Letting him, when the EMTs get there, like they said, I heard one of the officers testify, and that is true. The police officer's first line is preservation of life. And, when medical gets there, you have to let them tend to him. You can't, sit on him for. Do I think he was guilty? I do. I don't think it was second-degree murder. But again, I don't really know Minnesota law well. And then I just heard today, I think they're file for a retrial for juror misconduct. So, because I saw, so.
Article just came out about that tonight, where one of the jurors was involved in a march or something. So they're trying to use that.
And change of venue. They wanted it moved out of that county. So I think after this, they're going to have, that's tough.
All right, Bob. Anything else for Trooper Casey or Jeremy or myself?
Well, something I could ask is, I know in the past a lot of elected officials, they used to do a lot of ride-alongs with the police, and they'd even take them out to like the shooting range for when they have it, when the bad guys come up, and then you have the schoolgirl crossing, and of course they always failed that course. And I think that sometimes what the public doesn't understand, you got split seconds to make a decision, and nobody, they don't understand that.
Yeah, I agree. There's a YouTube video. There's a Phoenix activist. I'm drawing a blank on his name. Jared Maupin. The Maricopa County Sheriff's Department allowed him to do their use of force training with simunition, and he failed it miserably. Because I think one of the scenarios was a guy was locked his keys in the car. He was at the trunk, and he just started rushing Jared Maupin, supposedly the cop, and he's like, and Jared just shot him. And he's like, why'd you shoot him? And he said, that was a bad shoot. He's unarmed. And even he said, he goes, wow. He goes, I did not realize police, you have about a quick split second to make a decision. So I agree with you. I think that would be great to allow people to do that.
Yeah, I remember hearing a stat on Live PD where somebody who's within like 23 feet of you or something
21.
Can get to you. 21 feet can get to you by the time you pull your gun and shoot.
Yeah, it's called
someone with a. Yeah,
I'm sorry. It's called the Tula rule.
Okay.
Yeah. 21
so
feet.
To me, he was way over there. Yeah, it doesn't take long to get from there to here. By the time I pull out my gun, that knife is here.
Yeah,
so, I don't think the public realizes that 21 feet's, longer than most people would assume.
Yeah. Well, I always tell the story, and this goes true. The one time, another time I wish Live PD was with me. It was 2016. It was the first Tuesday of the Christmas break. They had just left that last Saturday show. I kid you not, probably the first or second stop of the night I had, a guy went by me on I-17. It was probably like 9:30, 10 o'clock that night. And he was 72 and a 55. I pull him over. I walk up, I can smell burned marijuana, which is, on his breath from smoking, fresh, because I could smell there was weed in the car. And, he looked like a tweaker. I mean, you could tell heavy meth use. And the car was registered as a 3-day permit, a paper plate, and it was registered to a female in Flagstaff. Anyhow, I was sitting there watching him, as I'm putting him, I'm watching him, and I see him start dipping down like that. His left shoulder starts going down. I quickly got out and I ran up and I drew my gun and I said, freeze. And I heard a loud thud. And I brought his hands up slowly and got out and cuffed him. He was reaching for a gun, stolen gun. I think he had a half pound of weed in the car. He was out on bond for meth and felon in possession of a gun. And I remember in booking, I asked him, I said, what were you going to do? And he was like, I was going to shoot you. I said, why didn't you? And he goes, you had to drop on me. So, and I believe him. I mean, he, just for the way he was, I knew some guys talk junk, about what they're going to do to you. But, there's certain guys, I knew that I dealt with that. I knew they weren't kidding. They would have done it if they could have.
So what made you want to become a cop? Was it something you wanted to do from when you were a kid or is it? Okay.
Yeah, no, I always wanted to be when I was a kid,
Okay.
I just,
Andy Griffith Show?
No, that was way before my time.
Bro, like you can't say Andy Griffith Show. Like this dude is not that old, okay?
I watched it as a kid. I'm just, there's reruns. I didn't say he was watching it live. I didn't say he was sitting there every Tuesday night or whatever.
I would say for him, NYPD Blue, maybe something like that. Is that more around the time, or maybe a little bit when you were a kid, maybe something like Hill Street Blues or something?
Hill Street Blues, yeah, Hill Street Blues. My parents watch that. I was just telling my wife, we were laughing about this. The first show I actually remember watching regularly as a kid was Three's Company. When that came out, it was Tuesday nights. I grew up in Houston, so it was Tuesday nights at 7:00. How I remember that, I don't know, but I do.
So, I mean, I don't know what other questions Jeremy has, but I wanted to make sure we got a chance to talk a little bit about your book. I want to make sure, people know what to expect when reading it. I haven't had a chance yet, but definitely would look forward to it. What would people expect when they pick up a copy?
Okay. Well, basically what I did is, the best way I've described it is I take people on a ride along with me during the calls. I'm explaining, what I'm doing. I'm talking to people too. Then, like I said, I also have my family. I have them in on it. And I'll just give you I use a story, and it's in the book, but I always used to teach the academy when I used to teach the academy class when I come back from the shooting. So this actually happened to me right before I got shot. I used to tell them. So one night I was on I-10, and it was probably about 3 a.m, westbound. So heading to LA, Los Angeles. I'm in my, I didn't have a Charger yet. I had like the old, whatever they drive now, those Explorers or Expeditions, whatever they are. I had one of those, and some guy got on the freeway, and he had a Challenger, and he hammered that thing. And like I said, there's not a lot of traffic. So I said, all right, I'll see what this guy's going to get it to. When we got to about 120, he was like starting to pull away from me. So I was like, man, I better light this guy up, as he takes off. So I lit him up. Luckily, he pulls over, and where he pulled over is under the 101, I-10, under the 101 freeway. Well, it's a large area on the middle of the road. So I made a driver's side approach on the guy. I walk up, the guy is crying, blubbering. And as I'm, shining my light in the car, I see torn up roses in his seat, smashed cake on the floorboard. And I'm looking at the guy, and I said, what's going on? And the guy said, well, I don't want to talk about it. And I was like, man, you really don't have a choice. I said, you're double the speed limit. You can go to jail. And anyhow, he told me that night was his 20th anniversary. He'd gotten off of work early, bought the cake and the roses for his wife to surprise her. Except when he walked in the door, she was pleasuring the neighbor. And that guy, that's where he took off, and that's where I caught him. So what I used to do is I would stop it at that, and I would say, all right, I got to ask. And I said, all the laterals, you're not allowed to answer this. I said, all the new hires in the academy. I said, who locks this guy up? And the youngest I got was 24 years old, and I had to explain to him. I said, think about it. I said, that man's been with that woman since you were 4 years old to the day you sit here. And I said, if you locked him up, I said, you might as well give him your gun and let him shoot himself. And I said, why would you do that? And, and I was trying to teach, talk to people, because you never know their story. And that's why I always debunk that. They used to tell us in the academy about, you have your mind made up about writing a ticket when you exit the car. And I was like, that's crazy. Why would you do that? You don't know what the person, if, for example, like that, and then I would ask, all right, who would criminally cite him? I usually get a few. And then I would say, who gives a guy a warning and lets him go? And that's the majority of them. So I was always glad to see that. And that was one of the stories I wrote in my book. I let him go, by the way. I gave him a warning, told him to slow down, get to his place. So I can tell you, so like I said, and then I have my family, my boys were 15 and 11 at the time. My wife, what she went through. Because she talks about, like she was talking about coming out of surgery and stuff, that I was when I was in the hospital, I was very abrasive towards her. She said, you would be friendly to people walking in, and then you would turn, just absolute vengeance on me. And I don't remember any of that. So, and that's what I told them all. I said, I want you to write it from the heart. I never read it. So I wanted that to be. And then, I have like the court stuff. I did write why the lone juror hung the attempted murder case. And I guess nowadays it's believable, but when it happened, it was a shock. And then I did some, research on Ramon. So you get an idea of what he was about. And
obviously he's a part, of your life for better or worse. Do you feel uncomfortable bringing up his name, or are you past that? I saw the video of you, talking to the judge at the sentencing and whatnot. So, I'm sure it was hard, but maybe with your line of work, maybe you were expecting that and being able to do that. Maybe it was therapeutic in a way. I don't know. Do you feel
it was absolutely. Yeah, I did. I always said that, because I always said, that the shooting, talking about it was always therapeutic for me. It always helped me. It's funny. I just had my throat. It's why my voice is a little scratchy. I had my thyroid removed. And it's funny you say that, because I was showing the doctors and the nurses, and they're all like blown away. They're, looking at the pictures. Well, the anesthesiologist walked in, and I said, hey, he was like, what's going on? And I showed him, and he turned, he's like, oh, no. And then when all the rest of the nurses and doctors left, I said, that's a hot doc. I said, you're a doctor and you don't like, you don't. And he goes, man, that's why I got an anesthesiology, because I don't want to see blood and guts. So I was like, okay, fair enough.
He just has to pay attention to his monitor on the side. While, he doesn't have to look down the surgery.
He's getting paid well too. It's all right.
Oh yeah.
So I asked my wife. She used to watch the show with me. She had a couple questions. One I think I already know the answer to, but if you had to do it again, would you be a cop again?
Oh, absolutely.
All right.
Without a doubt.
And would you let your children pursue that?
My youngest son, I'm torn on that. My youngest son wants to do it so bad. When he was here at Christmas time, he was just asking me, and he just turned 18. So he's been 18 a few months ago. And, as a father, I'll support him. As a parent, I'm like, I keep trying to ask him. I said, Brennan, he got a scholarship. He won a scholarship. From his grades, he got a scholarship to college. So I keep trying to tell him. I said, instead of doing street, why don't you keep doing your college and maybe look at federal or something, not law, street crime. So
my kids used to sit down and every once in a while would watch a show with us, and one of them stands out to me is I believe it's Trooper Poole, who used to work with.
Yeah.
Chasing a guy across the freeway up onto the embankment, screaming, hey, you're going to get tased. You're going to get tased. So my son was probably 9 or 10 at the time. And my wife did a rolling stop through a stop sign and got pulled over. And as they're waiting for the cop to walk up, my 9-year-old leads his head around and says, hey, Mom, you're going to get tased. I thought it was funny. Yeah.
I tell a cool story. I thought it was great. My oldest son, when he turned 18, he came and, they live with their mom out of state, my ex-wife. He was visiting me that summer, and I always asked to go on a ride along. So I said, sure. And of course, I gave him, the full tour. I took him, I embarrassed him. I, showed him where all the crazies are. But the coolest part of the night was, this is from a fatherly cool. I stopped a guy who was passed out behind the wheel in his running car on the road. Well, the guy, when he gets out of the car, he was DUI. He was bigger than me, but he, when I started to do field sobriety tests on me, he basically told me where I could put my test. So when I went to arrest him, he took a swing at me, and I slammed him down to the ground, cuffed him up. And I remember afterwards, I'm walking him back to the car, and I found cocaine on him too. I'm walking back to my car, I put him in, and I said to my son, hey, Cameron, give me the radio. And he's just staring at me. I said, hey, let me see the radio. I got to let them know he's under arrest. And he was like, and he goes, and I had Cameron, come on. And he looked at me, he's like, whoa, Dad, you're a badass. You've never seen that side of me.
I did want to ask your opinion if you feel comfortable talking about it, because I'm not a cop. I've never even shot a gun, never held a taser or anything like that. So obviously there's the Daunte Wright shooting that happened in Minnesota. I mean, and not to speak to the officer's guilt or innocence or anything like that, that's something that has to be determined or whatnot. But I mean, how likely is it? I see here numerous stories that I see where there have been alleged incidents where cops did say that they thought they were shooting their taser. I mean, I hear there's a tremendous weight difference, a feel difference. I mean, I don't know. Yeah.
Well, we practiced that. I mean, that would be, I guess my first question is, where's the training on that? Because we used to practice that a lot. And I can't remember if we weren't allowed to cross draw, so you didn't make that mistake. Because taser would always be on my left side, weak side, because I'm right-handed. So, firearm would be right side. So I can't remember. I was old school. I was not afraid to go hands-on with people. I didn't, because to me, and this is what I've complained about when my last year or so there was, one year we went to defensive tactics, and I remember it was, there was no ground fighting. And I remember I went up to the instructor and I said, man, what happened to ground fighting? And he said, well, we don't teach that anymore. And he said, you shouldn't end up on the ground. And I was like, yeah, I shouldn't. But I said, I should win the lottery every time I play it, but I don't. That's crazy. But but they were just got, in my opinion, they just got too taser reliant. And, my son, we were just talking to my oldest son a few weeks back, and I said, have you ever been in a fight? No, he never has. It was different than mine. When I grew up, we were fighting with my friends. You beat up your friend, he beat you up. The next day, your best friend. We were outside a lot more too. But and I just think that's what happens is they get so taser dependent that if the taser doesn't work, you're kind of stuck with you've got one option left, and that's a firearm. But I agree. Guilt or innocence, I don't know, but I don't know how you make that mistake.
We've talked amongst ourselves a couple times when these incidents come up that every altercation between a cop and a suspect, there's a gun involved. If the suspect gets the jump on you, there's a gun involved. If you don't have it out, he can take it out if he wins. Yeah. So and why he was unarmed? Yeah, but if he's charging at the cop, doesn't matter if he's unarmed. If he gets the jump on him, now he has a gun.
Yeah. Well, and plus also, size, physical abilities. You know what I mean? It's tough. I wrote in one of the stories in my book. I had a guy. I was working a DUI detail one night in 2014. And as I was driving by on Grand Ave, and I looked over and he had a headlight out. So, and it was a DUI detail. So I was like, all right, I'll see if maybe this is one. Well, he was waiting at the light. And as he was waiting at the light, he was smoking meth. Well, as I get this guy out of the car, this guy's 6'4", 230, 240. He was a big guy. And he started that, he's doing that stuff that meth, tweakers do, the grinding the teeth. And he was just starting to sweat and I'm so glad he kept trying to reach into his pocket. Well, as I'm not like those cop shows. I don't like when I see officers doing, you're under arrest, or I'm going to arrest you, and they pull their handcuffs out. I grabbed him and just cuffed him. And I'm glad I did. Well, he was so high on meth. This guy leaned back or jumped back and kicked me, broke my thumb, and then took off running. And then I almost wound up shooting him. But as I was getting ready to pull the trigger, his girlfriend, he got back into his car. He was able to get back in because when I went to grab my pepper spray, as he was running back towards me, I couldn't grab it with my thumb. It just fell to the ground. So I started to chase him. And then as I was getting back to my cruiser, he had gotten into his car. I'm sure his girlfriend put it in gear because he was still cuffed behind his back. But I couldn't. They wanted a charger, but I could not say beyond a reasonable doubt that, what this guy had done to me and what I watched him do, hopping barrels and almost climbing half a fence handcuffed. I said, man, this guy's so messed up. But anyhow, I forget the question. I forgot the question. I'm sorry. I'm thinking about that story. What was the question again?
I'm not sure. I was listening to the
story. I knew there was something. We were talking about something. And then arresting. Arresting. I don't know.
I remember seeing one of the officers had a kind of almost a routine when he was doing a DUI. He would have them do something with their hands where, I need you to put them out like this. All right, now put them behind your back. And then he put the cuffs on them. Oh, by the way, you're under arrest. Just so their hands are secured by the time they know they're under arrest. He already, kind of had them.
Yeah.
And, which to me seemed like the way to go because I never understand, obviously it's TV, but hey, freeze, it's the cops when they're halfway down the road. Why not to let the guy walk over to you first?
You have to. I will say when they're running, you have to yell, "Stop, please, stop, please."
Sure, but
that way,
Before they realize there's a cop there on the shows, they always start screaming at him halfway across the city. It's like, wait, just let him get a little closer. Or Styx was always saying, if the guy's running from you on the foot, keep driving the car until you can't because he's going to be tired and you won't.
Yes.
I was like, the guys that hop out of the car right away, I'm like, what are you doing? Now you got to run after him the whole way. Just keep driving until he's tired.
Yeah. Well, I always tell the story of when I was an FTO. I remember my FTO, he was a great guy. We went to the Chinese buffet. I probably had 2 plates. He probably had like 4 or 5. And he was a big guy. I mean, he was a big guy. And I remember afterwards, I was just looking at him and I said to him, hey, what happens if we get in a foot chase? And he just laughed. He's like, that's what you're here for. He goes, I drive the car, you run. I pass that wisdom on to the young guys because they'd say, somebody bail out, I'd always keep going around in the car. And a few times I'd grab them in the apartments, and I always used to tell them, I'd say, all you guys that drive up to the scene and go chasing behind him, in the apartment complex, keep going a few more rows down. They'll run right to you.
Yeah. So you kind of had a rep on the show as having the weird interactions, just like I said, you walking up to guys that are just some strange situations. Was that, you think that was editing? Everybody runs into that, or did you just have a bad stretch there of just weird interactions?
No. No, it's because they're, and I won't give it all away, but in my book, I wrote about how there were 2 adult bookstores that were right in that area, and they were right off the I-17. And then you had the motel and a strip club all in that, and that was on the southbound side, the Nights Inn Hotel where I got shot. So that whole area was, it was just, it seemed like it brought out just about every degenerate you could find in the city. And I found them. So yeah, it was just, it was, because, and here's the other thing too, as I used to say, because a lot of those guys, a lot of those too that they showed, it was laughable. Because I will tell you, I did catch some flack from that from some of the bosses. But as I used to always tell them, I said, look, number one, it's not like these guys are my friends, and I saw them when they left their house, because I might have said, hey, Daisy Duke's not really a good look on you, but they were all DUIs, and that was my thing. I said, you know what, they're DUIs.
Yeah.
Do you, you're one man, but you have the experience, being a trooper and in law enforcement. Do you have any suggestions, not for the nation or anything, but what thoughts do you think could possibly, I don't know, I don't want to say get the nation to heal, but obviously there's some discrepancies between the people who believe that there's some reform needed and, people who are working in law enforcement who think everything's hunky dory. Do you think anything needs to change? And if so, what in your mind from maybe what you've seen or worked or know?
I from a law enforcement standpoint, the one thing I've always thought of is, and I've worked with some, is they don't talk with people. It's just, it's almost like a Joe Friday, by the book. And, that was always my biggest thing that I used to tell, talk with the younger officers or cadets was, you got to communicate, you got to talk with people. You can take care of a lot with talking, and I think that's the biggest one. The other one too is, I don't know. It's just hard. Like when, if let's say I was going to arrest somebody, I'd always get them in an arm bar. And if I felt them tensing or starting to, I would warn them, listen, right now, let's say, there's a traffic warrant, you're about to turn this into a felony. So, you know what I mean? And it's just talking. And a lot of times I could feel them start easing up, and that was always my biggest, but that, yeah, I don't know. It just seems like you said, they're just so divided. One just does not want police. And then the other, the thing about it is, like I've said, the problem is when they defund, getting back to what the caller's question, as I've said, I've worked in 2 police departments. The projects that the chief or the boss have, the colonel, those are going to stay. Patrol is the one that gets cut. So,
right.
On the flip side of Mike's question, what would you want to see? What can we do when we interact with the police to make things easier or better?
Yeah, that's hard. I always had I guess the first thing on traffic stops is, I'm sure you guys saw that video of that lady, that teacher, or she claimed to be a teacher, that was called, the reason the racist terms on that LA sheriff's deputy.
Calling him a murderer or whatever.
Yeah. That right there. I never understood that. And that was the one thing I never understood. I would walk up, say I'd stop somebody and I'd walk up on the car and they would immediately start yelling at me. And I didn't put up with it. I said, whoa, what are you doing? I said, and I used to tell them, I'd say, whoa, first of all, I'm probably one of the most lenient people you're ever going to run into, unless you're doing criminal activity. And I said, you're going to yell and scream at me, and then that's what I used to tell them afterwards. I go back, I'd say, listen, and they'd say, well, the last guy I dealt with, I said, okay, but, the last guy's not me. And the next guy, hopefully you don't have to deal with the next guy, but the next guy probably, so that was the one that I never understood. Yelling and screaming right off the bat, now you're going to put me or that other cop in a, defensive mode.
Right. Okay. All right. Well, I'm glad you came on the podcast. It's been very interesting and informative. Do you have any other final messages before I give you a nice long plug for coming on?
No, I appreciate you guys having me on. Definitely do it again.
Appreciate you.
Yeah. If you guys have any other questions, you guys have any other questions before?
Nah, not off the top of my head right now. We kind of went through the whole list of stuff I had.
All right.
I really appreciate it, though.
Oh, yeah, no, that's cool. I enjoy this.
I want to make sure anyone who's listening goes to jamescaseyauthor.com and looks at his new book, The Traffic Stop, A Most Dangerous Year in the Life of a Cop. And it looks like you can pre-order it there, or you're shipping it now.
No,
I'm
shipping. Yeah, no, I'm shipping now. That I just have it. Yeah, I'm not a web guy, so I know. I know it's out and I'm shipping. So
that's what the 18-year-old's for.
Yeah. Well, I will tell you,
tech support.
I have started. I'm going to do a live PD book. And I'll also talk about the final shooting that I ultimately retired from. It's not. It'll be like a cameraman. I always made the joke. One of them I had, he would never laugh. I could try all I would on a live show, and he used to tell me, "You'll never get me." So one night, the only night it rained in Phoenix that we were live, we pulled up and there was a prostitute working the corner and she was dressed, like a prostitute. And it was raining, it was chilly. I rolled the window down and I said, "You're very dedicated to your craft, young lady." And, and he started laughing and I said, "See, I got you." So, stuff like
awesome.
That. That'd be fun.
That's awesome. That's a great note to go out on. Well, Trooper Casey, I really appreciate you coming on The Usual Saints, and you're welcome back anytime. If you have anything else to promote or want to just pop in, we don't care. Just let us know. I appreciate it.
All right. Sounds good.
All right.
I appreciate it.
All right. Well, we're going to take a quick break. You've been listening to Usual Saints. We'll be right back.
Hey gang, Mikey P here from the We Speak English Good podcast. Go check out my friends at the Usual Saints podcast. You won't regret it. Now let them hear it, Nature Boy.
Just like a safety school?
No, I don't know what safety school is. What the fuck is safety school?
No, that's true. You only applied to one college.
I did.
One or two. Did you do UF too or no? Just NYU?
I did UF, but they didn't have electronic applications back then, so it got there the day after it was supposed to be there.
Oh,
otherwise I could have otherwise I could have been going there. Theoretically.
Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah. I mean, my GPA was pretty shitty, so I don't know. It was 2.675 when I left, so.
The hell?
Yeah.
The hell did you get such a low GPA?
I mean, I failed Kaufman's class. and then I got a D- when I made it up because that's what the college gave me for my makeup grade.
I was still so mad when she changed her rubric, so I got a lower grade. It was bullshit.
I want to come back because I want to talk about that. Welcome back to Usual Saints. That was a great interview with James Casey, retired Arizona State Trooper. Why are you saying sure? That was your interview. You're gonna be like, man, that was fucking spectacular. Like, I wish he'd come back.
I enjoyed the hell out of that. That was interesting as hell to me. I think some of his opinions weren't what most people would have expected of him. I think some people would expect him to have more hardline opinions, and he had very common sense approaches to a lot of the questions. So I got no problem with it.
I wanted to go.
His response to the taser versus gun, he's like, "Yeah, I don't know how the fuck you do that. We train that shit all the time. How does that happen?" Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, it makes sense.
I was interested in hearing that. That just came to mind. I was like, well, let's ask him about this since I'm sure he has experience with it. But yeah, I want to plug him again. James Casey, go to jamescaseyauthor.com to get his book, The Traffic Stop. He's shipping it now. So I assume that means you'll probably get it within a week of ordering it. And maybe they have expedited shipping. I don't know. I haven't bought one yet. So, and James, by the way, you didn't give me a book so I can read it. So I don't know what to tell you, but
Hey, Mike, if you end up buying one, I'll borrow it from you when you're done.
No, you won't, because you're never borrowing another book from me ever again. I'm still.
It wasn't me. That was my wife. That was my wife. You can't blame me for that shit.
You're responsible for her. You owe me 2 books: Innocent Prey and that other one. Yes.
What's the other one? I don't even know what you're talking about.
Serial Killer Whisperer or something like that.
No, that wasn't yours. I bought that.
No, motherfucker. You have your copy. That's my copy.
Is your name in it?
No, I don't write my name in books. I'm not. What am I, 5?
Hang on a second.
He's got. I got to keep us entertained while this motherfucker goes to look for the book. He's looking on a bookshelf like he actually keeps books there. I'm narrating what I'm seeing in his reflection of his window while he can hear everything I'm saying. They can sigh in the background. He's like, oh, I'm so exasperated. I had to get off the couch where I've been sitting for the past few hours, and I'm looking for this book that has a white cover with some blue, and it says The Serial Killer Whisperer. Did you find it, or what? Are you flipping me off? I can't tell.
I'm looking for the other one. Shut up.
I should do a Dick Vitale voice instead.
Go for it.
I don't know a Dick Vitale voice. What did he say? Holy cow? No, that's someone else.
He said something like that.
He's like, shit.
Diaper dandies.
Ugh, that's weird. I'm not saying that. I didn't know he was still alive. I thought he was dead.
No, he's still out there doing his thing.
Yeah, I know. I saw a commercial with him recently. I think a Geico commercial. I feel like I'm talking to you, and I wonder if the audience can actually hear you. I can hear you on the mic, obviously. So.
If you can hear me, they can hear me. So this is the one you think is yours?
Flip it around. Yeah, that's mine, motherfucker.
I don't think so.
Just because you wrote your name in it doesn't make it yours. That's not how possession works. Although people say 9/10 of the law, right?
I thought I had the other one too. I don't know where it was. We had it when we moved. I don't know where it ended
pink.
up.
It's paperback and it's little.
I'll look in my room.
Yeah, and get that back to me. Mail it to me. Expedited shipping.
Fuck that.
Where were we going with the book thing anyway?
Oh, I was asking to borrow his when you buy it.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Well, you were asking him to send you one for free, but I was asking for you to borrow it when you get it.
Oh, so wait, we were talking about high school. Were you talking about the Florida Rights, or are you talking about something else for rubric?
Oh no. I remember senior year, she set out her syllabus at the beginning of the year. It said, oh, you get this many points, this percentage for this percentage for this. And I think about 2/3 of the way through the school year, I was the only kid in our class that had an A in the class. So she changed how she was going to grade everything, what percentage went where. And my grade went down. I'm like, what the fuck? That's not cool. I followed your stupid rules. I got an A. I shouldn't get hurt so you can help someone else because you don't like me. That was my personal opinion. What did it go down to? From high A to low A? Yeah, I think I went from like a 97 to like a 92. Yeah, or no, 97 to a 95. Are you okay? Well, it's fucking close to getting a B then. That's bullshit. Because 95 is not what? Back then, a 94 was an A. 93 was a B. I forgot that. Which also fucked me when I applied to colleges because I'm applying against kids who had 90 to 100 as an A. Then what the fuck? So my GPA was lower. My, I wasn't as high in our class because we didn't weight our grades in our school. Bullshit. It's nice to hear that the rubric at least fucked you because that was the only thing to fuck you until you were 30 something. So, wow. Wow. See, this is fun. Where the fuck did that bus come from? I think that's that cold open for the week right there. Fuck that. I don't think so. Oh, guess who does the editing, brother? That in memorandum for Vinny should be the cold open. Did you fucking say in memorandum? You are an idiot. In memoriam. Memoriam, whatever. I can't say words. They're tough. Oh my God. Anyway, so you remember the Florida Rights? What was that, 10th grade? Okay. What were the time capsule thing? What did you write about for that? Oh, fucking no. Well, I didn't have the time capsule question. My question was different.
Oh, the other one, there were two options. That's right. So I had the time capsule question, and I wrote that condoms were going to be in there. And I think I put something about feudal. You remember me telling this story, like something about man's feudal effort to stop the AIDS virus, all that kind of thing.
Oh yeah, I remember you saying you were going to write about, how people 40 years from now might not, or 50 years might not, or 200, whatever the fuck it was.
Yeah, might
not. AIDS might be a thing of the past, and really, you don't hear about AIDS nearly as much as when we were teenagers.
Right.
I don't, it's not that it's gone away, but for some reason it's just not as big a news story. Kind of like acid rain just went away. Don't hear about it anymore. Well, that shit was all over the place when I was in elementary school. Acid rain's going to kill us all. Fuck, you did too. Don't lie. You heard about that shit all the time in elementary school. Don't lie.
I have no idea what he's talking about.
AIDS isn't and listen, I don't want to downplay AIDS. It's still a serious and possibly lethal disease, but you can live with it nowadays with the proper drug regimen. So, I don't think I wouldn't want it, but I don't think it's nearly what the death sentence it was in the late 70s, early 80s. Well, hell, up until probably 2000. It was for a long time. It was like if you heard someone was HIV positive or had AIDS, it was like it was a thing. You had to avoid it. And it's still, you don't want that. That's why when you get screened, if you go give blood, if you go to the hospital, they're still screening for it. But I don't think it's, like I said, it's as, I don't want to say frowned upon. You know what I'm trying to say? What the fuck am I trying to say, Jeremy? Not frowned upon, stigmatized as it was. That's the word I was looking for. But yeah, so I wrote about
that astigmatism, like my eye. No.
Yeah, let me show those pictures again, Jeremy.
Fucking pictures were cool.
You didn't tell me to put them up.
I know. It was a last minute thing.
So
I'm gonna go put my book back on the shelf in a second.
You can wait till the fucking show's done. We're about to end, and so I wrote about the condoms, and my dad.
Joke. Never mind.
Oh, okay, thanks. And so my dad was so happy because she called my parents. Like, first of all, she wasn't supposed to read the fucking essays. It wasn't her place to read my Florida rights topic or essay. It wasn't for her class. And so she read it, reported it to my parents like I was doing something wrong. And my parents got pissed, especially when I got a 5.5 out of 6. Yeah. I think I was top 3 in the school. There may have been 1 6. I know I was one of the 2 5.5s. I know you didn't get either of those. So
yeah, I can't write worth a shit. We knew this.
I'm a great writer. That's the only thing. Like, I got the higher level English certificate. And so I haven't really had to take any English in any college I've attended since then, even though they always said, oh yeah, there's no way. Like when I went to Barry, they were like, there's no way you're going to not have to take English, but here, if you want to try, you can write this essay. And I remember it was something about George Bush, W. Bush. And so I'm a good writer. And so I wrote the shit out of that. And they're like, wow, like you don't have to take English. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, I tested out of creative writing in college because of IB.
Oh,
I have to take that shit.
You tested out. See, so you are a good writer then, you think?
No, because of my IB score. I didn't have to take a test. The test we took in English was enough, apparently.
Oh, so that makes more sense there. You tested out. You didn't have to take something or write something to prove your worth to your college.
Yeah, that's right.
So Sophie,
I couldn't get out of Spanish too.
So I didn't take it. Sorry, I'm thinking in my head. I don't think I took foreign language in college.
My college required it.
Oh, okay, that makes more sense. I'm like,
had to take 2 years of foreign language in my college.
Okay,
but, man, those same teachers are the ones that tried to make me pay for my own exams because I wasn't turning in my outline for my extended essay soon enough. They're fucking idiots. I remember freaking Mrs. Whitford walking in the room being like, yeah, he's not very good at Spanish, but he does what I ask him to, so I have no problem with him. I don't know why you guys are bothering him. And walking out, I was like, yeah, that's my woman right there. She's awesome. Fuck the rest of you.
Sophie's going to IB next year. I'm trying to figure out how she's going to perform. I think she's a good student. I don't know. We'll see how it goes.
You got a driver?
Yeah, I'll drive her. And then, well, I think nah, we don't want her to ride the bus, and she doesn't want to ride the bus. I think I'm going to alternate with Heather because I think a week on, week off would be nice. That way, whichever one of us finishes, we can just go straight to work pretty much. So we'll see how it goes.
Hey, getting her after school might be the problem.
Yeah. I mean, I've already talked to my parents, and then I'm pretty flexible with my job. I mean, unless I'm out on an emergency, I can probably get her. Oh, we did talk to Heather's parents as well, since they live down the street. Kind of, we're like, hey, by the way, you're picking up Sophie next year. Cool, thanks. So they can get her from school, bring her to their place, and just let her hang out, do her homework.
This? Who's Sophie? Who the fuck are you people? Why are you calling us?
Well, listen,
We haven't heard from you in 3 years. What the fuck?
No, listen, Heather, you know how Heather's family is, and I'm not dogging anyone if Amanda or Butch or Ernie or Carol listen to us. They're just not as close as we are. Like, I mean, I've met her brother twice, her sister, I usually only see for holidays, if that. And so, they just don't, not that they don't have the interest. They love Sophie. I know that, like, especially the grandparents, but, like, we just don't see him as often.
Kissing up now.
Listen, for the longest time, I thought her dad hated me. I mean, listen, I was a guy coming over and staying in his daughter's room, even if she was in her 20s. But yeah, I'm sure that's a little weird, and I don't want that happening to me when Sophie's in her 20s.
I'm pretty sure he still hates you. Don't sell yourself short. You're good.
Listen, just because I didn't lose all my hair before I went and slept with a woman, that doesn't put me in the same boat, Jeremy. So just
That's
because
true. You still have hair and you've slept with men too. So what the hell? Seems to be working out for you.
Dude, why are you so homophobic, bro? This is not a homophobic show, man. You can't throw that kind of shit around here.
Wait, I didn't say it was bad. You're implying it's bad. What's your problem?
You just told me I slept with men. Like, it's a bad thing.
Yeah. No. I did not say it was a bad thing. I just said you slept with men.
I freely
You're
said
implying it's a bad thing.
I freely said if Buzz Aldrin offered me a moon coin, I'm there.
Plus, there's all that experience from high school you had.
Bro, we're not talking about that, but I was almost raped. I'm sorry, it's true. That's not slander or libel, man. That motherfucker was trying to touch my ass under the bed.
Whatever.
I crawled out of space. I crawled to space like this. I like shrank. I don't know. My bones squeezed together and I got out. Yeah.
Fucking idiot.
All right. I think that's enough for the day. So again, One more time, want to thank retired Arizona State Trooper James Casey for coming on the show. If he has anything, he said he was working on another book, so maybe we'll have him back when he wants to promote that. We'll go from there. Hell, even if he wants to shoot the shit after he listens to this episode, I guess we'll see how that goes.
Yeah. You never know.
Like, come on, Ramanda.
Hell of a personality.
No, that's not what he says. She's got a great personality. Oh, man. All right.
Man, I can't say that. Now I'm sad thinking about Vinny and his possible passing.
All right.
Go to our assholes.
Go to that should be the title of our podcast. God, we're assholes. That's a good one. We'll start an offshoot. That's all right. Go to theusualsaints.com. You can find every place to listen to us. You can watch us on YouTube. Oh, his interview I'll put on the website. This is the first interview we've had since Elephant Boy, so I'll put that on the front page as well as in the interview section. You can find us on social media: Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, The Usual Saints. We have the Facebook group, which has been growing a little bit lately, mostly my family members, but that's fine. And you can call in, man. Like, calling in work today. And actually, I think I know what Jeremy was talking about with the caller sounding a little low. And I want to thank Bob for being our first ever caller. But in the program Loopback, there's a control to turn it up or down. And when I was testing it the other day with my mom and Heather, my mom said that Heather sounded really loud, and so I turned it down to 50%. So I just have to kind of regulate that while I'm doing everything. Yeah. While I'm doing everything else on this fucking show,
except being funny.
Except for the Buzz Aldrin line and the other cold open line.
That was the Buzz Aldrin was funny. I'll give you that.
Hey, and I think my parents have agreed to be interviewed on the show. So you and Vinny, if he's alive, and Saint can ask all the questions you want to know.
Sure.
I thought that was funny. Like, I feel like I'm stealing a lot of Howard Stern bits, but fuck it, I don't care.
I don't know if I want to interview your parents, because then I'll have to see them afterwards, and nothing good comes of that.
What's that mean?
Not that I don't like, because if I ask him any of the questions I want to ask, I'll be embarrassed to see them afterwards.
And you never see him anyway. You're always at work. Fuck off. You can ask whatever you want.
We invite them over. They say no.
We got to make a funny podcast. You can ask them whatever you want.
Uh-huh.
Watch me turn red or stay here silent. I'll even mute myself. I don't know if that's possible. All right.
We can't mute you.
So for Jeremy and myself, and I'm sure Vinny and Saints, R.I.P. Vinny. We're having too much fun with this. I'm gonna feel so bad if he's actually dead.
Yeah.
Vinny, don't be dead. We're just gonna be crying next week. Nah, we gotta laugh. We always gotta make it funny.
Fuck.
All right, so for the usual Saints, I'm Mike D. Thanks for listening. We'll be back next week with whatever we come back with.
Peace.
Yes,
so when we gotta start recording?
That's funny. What does that mean?
Just fucking. All right.
I've been recording the whole time.
Yeah.